When I was younger, I never really thought about the stress, what you'd put on your body. I'd think about getting my job done to please my boss. We'd lift heavy timbers. Sometimes you'd go out and carry the timber in by yourself, and you'd have it under your arm or on your shoulder, mainly on your shoulder, and that's what apprentices had to do in the day. Instead of picking up like one and carrying it, you'd actually look at it and think, well, hey, okay, I'll carry two this time, and you'd take two in at a time, and you'd struggle, and you'd hurt yourself a little bit, but you'd still do it. The first part starting to break down in my body was my lower part of my back, because you're standing in one spot all the time, and you sort of arch your back to lean over the bench, and you started to feel lower pain in your back, and it just got worse and worse. Being on the tools today, it's a real struggle to do what you have to do. It's not so much got the energy, it's just your body's not letting you do it. I don't think it'll ever change. I go and have treatment every month to have it set right so I can get through the next month. If I had my time again to do what I did over when I was younger, I wouldn't do what I did. I wouldn't lift like I did when I was younger. I would change the whole lot of it if I could.
You should also be aware of the 4 common states that can lead to people making mistakes and getting injured. Rushing.
Come on, mate, we need to be off this job today.
Well, it's hard to work fast when the whole area is covered in leaves and rubbish.
Frustration.
How are we supposed to work without a scissor?
Well, it was supposed to be here by now. Just work off that old ladder.
Fatigue.
How you feeling, Dave?
Pretty flat. It's that hot out on the roof. I feel completely knackered.
And complacency.
Hey, mate, you want to lift with that off the ute? Looks pretty heavy.
Nah, should be right, mate. I've always done it this way.
This may account for the common error that people make of only thinking about how they work and what the risks are when they feel pain or are injured. This is clearly too late. You should always stay alert to the long-term risks of poor work habits, just as much as the more obvious short-term risks.
As a young lad, you think you're invincible, you can do anything. I was in my first year, a lot of bending down, a lot of lifting, a lot of work, down low. Building these big wall frames. We were lifting them up, could literally feel it was like an elastic band just snapping. Looked at my boss, he looked at me and kind of said, what's wrong with you, mate? I said, look, I think I've done my back. Pretty much out for a month from there. After getting back into work, I just kind of got a bit lazy with how serious the injury was, and kind of slipped back into old habits and wasn't really being very vigilant with my lifting and my bending. And almost exactly 12 months down the track, very similar thing happened. I had no idea that I had injured myself until the next morning. It wasn't until I woke up I could barely move. I'd prolapsed 2 of my lower discs in the lumbosacral area, right down the bottom. Probably the best of 2 or 3 months that I was in bed, couldn't move. Everyone else was going out on the weekends and having fun, and I was stuck in bed. It wasn't an injury that just affected myself. One of my parents put my socks and my shoes on for me because I couldn't bend down. I had no flexibility, no movement. The doctor, he was asking me, are you getting down about anything? Are you feeling depressed or anything like that? And, thought, nah, I'm all right. I'll be fine, that wouldn't happen to me. I'm a pretty happy-go-lucky sort of person. But yeah, sure enough, 4 months down the track, you start feeling, you feel almost like an invalid. You can't sit. That's something I sure as hell took for granted. The doctor said to me, you'll probably never return to carpentry, and that was really the only sort of career path I'd chosen for myself. Started doing my supervisor's course. I knew I just wanted to be back at work, and just pushed and got myself better through Pilates and daily exercises, strengthening up my back. And yeah, after a while, I found myself working again. So being back at work was fantastic for me. It was 2 years into my apprenticeship, and that's not something you want to invest time into and just lose it. You just got to get out there, have fun working, have a good time, learn what you need to learn. But yeah, you just got to be careful about the way you go about doing things.